Hello and welcome to the next episode on ABAP on Cloud demo session. In our last episode, we discussed about the theory part of ABAP on Cloud training. We have seen what is ABAP on Cloud all about and how can you use ABAP on Cloud in what are all strategies to use the ABAP programming language in SAP Cloud Platform to utilize creating new solution as well as also implementing side-by-side extensions to SAP S/4HANA solutions. If you have not seen my part one of the demo session video, I would recommend you to kindly have a look at it. I will put the video link into the description of this video so you can first look at that video before directly starting this video. In this video, we will go ahead and talk about setting up our trial account and create our first database table. We will also then create a service definition on top of our CDS data model along with the behavior definition to expose our resources. So go to the system. So what I've done here is already created my ABAP on Eclipse environment. And you can see it's a very fresh environment. And just before the session, I went ahead to the SAP Cloud Platform. So if you can go back out there, SAP Cloud Platform. So you have a trial available. The website is cloudplatform.sap.com. And you can go to the trial and then I have just connected to my trial account, so you all can set up your trial account out there, and then you can see this trial offering is also offering you a new instance of ABAP Cloud Platform, ABAP layer into the cloud platform basically. So now if you start this, you can see here we have an option. So by the way, the front screen is also changed for cloud platform now. This is little different. So earlier you used to get two tiles with Neo and Cloud Foundry. So if you just scroll down to the bottom, the Cloud Foundry has been moved down there. Here you see, and the Neo has been moved down there. And what you default see is this trial account is for opening a Cloud Foundry. So before the demo session, what I did was I went into this and I had created my trial sub account. Of course, we will learn all these in our classes regularly when we start our sessions. We will learn all these things, the basics of cloud platform, so don't panic right now. I'm just quickly showing you what I've done before the class. So I've created a dev namespace, and then in the namespace, I have also added a subscription for my ABAP trial. So I went into spaces, my dev namespace, and there I have added a cloud platform trial offering. So I went into service marketplace, and you would observe in service marketplace there is new ABAP trial offering available now here. So I went inside this ABAP trial and I have just created one service instance for this ABAP trial offering in the cloud platform. So that's a great news for us. You can quickly learn these things, set up your own trial account quickly with ABAP layer activated into it, and you can start practicing ABAP without getting any server access from anybody. Yeah, that's a great advantage there. Even your company is still on ECC, they have a long-term plan to move to S4, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe down the line after 2 years, not right now, but still you can go ahead and adapt yourself to this new programming model. So the day your company moves to S4, or even you move out of your company to another project out there, a lot of opportunities in the market, you can grab them much faster as an ABAP developer. Many time I hear people talking, Anubhav, is ABAP dying? I have been an ABAP developer since many years. What is my future? Is it mandatory for me to just learn UI5, or is it just sufficient enough to learn ABAP on HANA? Will I be able to survive? So that's where you can see you have another opportunity to put yourself into blue ocean, where there is no competition. As an ABAP developer, you can learn ABAP on cloud, you can learn this new programming model, and then trust me, there are not much experts in the market at this point of time. You can position yourself as an expert, uh, get a good opportunity out there, maybe not in your current company. You can just try out new opportunities out there into the market, change the country, change the projects, and then place yourself into a much better situation what you are currently right now. And then we have added an instance here. So I went inside and created an instance. So of course, this whole process I will explain you from the scratch when we start the course. This is just a demo session, so I'm just kind of wanted to show you more like a scenario. So that's why these prerequisites step I've already added them. Yeah. So
You can see this there I've added an ABAP on Cloud instance here. And guys, this is a shared instance. As you can see, this is part of SAP Cloud Platform. So it's a shared instance, which means you are not alone in the system. When I will open the system in a minute, you will see there are a lot of other developers also co-working with this ABAP trial environment. Again, this is just for trial purpose. Of course, for productive instance, you have to have a productive SAP Cloud Platform account. All of that is a different aspect. But as a developer myself, to practice and adapt to this new environment, I have it's okay for me to get started with the trial instance. So this is the instance I've created before our demo session. And now I will just go ahead to ABAP development tools in Eclipse. So this so-called ADT. Some of you may get confused here. Anubhav, is it HANA Studio or is it Eclipse? What is it? I've never seen this kind of screen. How did you got this? Don't worry, this is also covered as part of the course. I will cover how to set up this development environment, and then of course I will get started with these things. But right now in the demo, just wanted to show you the capability. So I already set it up before the demo session. So now here you see an option to create an ABAP Cloud project. Just choose that, and I'll say here I want to connect to my SAP HANA SAP Cloud Platform trial instance with Cloud Foundry environment. So I choose next, and now you see it shows me the region. So in the region right now, it's only available in Euro Frankfurt, and now I have to enter my my credentials. So let me just quickly pause my screen and enter my credentials just for a second. And I'm just entering my Cloud Platform trial account user and password. And then I just hit the next button. So I just hit the next button. So you can see now it has connected me successfully to the cloud platform, and now it's showcasing me here my trial organization name, my namespace. So what is namespace and all these things we'll discuss. Don't worry. We will cover definitely session on setting up development environment, setting up cloud platform environment, all of these, including the explanation of what is a namespace, what is a sub account, what is a trial account, what is a global account, how the users are managed, what is the security in cloud platform, how all these aspects we will discuss when we'll start our course. Now then we have service instance, and I choose my ABAP on cloud. You can see Anubhav-AOC ABAP on cloud. You can see Anubhav-AOC. This is the instance which we have it into the cloud platform. So we choose that, and I say next. And you would see now in about a couple of seconds, a new system will be available. And it's of course asking me credentials to enter again. It has redirected me to my cloud platform trial account security. So I'm just pausing my screen again to enter my credentials quickly so that I can log in. And yeah, I have logged in now. You can see you have been successfully authenticated. And now, guys, you can see our trial system. Awesome. TRL. That's the ABAP system into the cloud platform. And we can just connect to this system. And right there, you can see your ABAP layer. So all of you, those who come from ABAP background, you know that we have packages. Yeah. So we have all the packages here right there into the ABAP system. And these packages will contain then lots of objects like programs, function modules, classes, your BAPIs and your dialog programs. Of course, the dialog programming is obsolete now because as we discussed that Fiori is the default user experience. Yet, you can go ahead and now build some of these limited edition ABAP functionality out here. Many of the functionality have been deprecated or been obsolete now, but yet we will learn what is that new which has come up. How can you build end-to-end application, your reports, how can you reuse the existing custom code, port your custom code, how can you manage the code lifecycle. All of that will be covered as part of our course. And now I'll just go back, probably create a new package quickly. So I'm going to right click here, say new, create a package. So you can see there are a lot of other packages which clearly indicates that it's we are not alone in the system. There are a lot of other developers working with so many packages. So let me just quickly add a package here. So I say, of course, everything should start with Z and Y, the custom namespace. And I'll say my Anubhav trainings, ABAP on cloud package. So my first package in Cloud Platform, Cloud Foundry environment, and it's a development package. Of course, I say next. So you all can go ahead and create your own package. And guys, this server is free. It's a trial offering free from SAP for, I think, 90 days trial is free. And now I can just click on next. And you can see I can create a new transport request here. So I want to create a new transport request. Changes. And I say finish. And voila, you see the package has been created. So let us go ahead without wasting time. I'm going to create a database table for sales order as per our scenario. So I will right click, say new, other ABAP repository object. Can you believe this? This is right. This is purely into the cloud. There is no OP system. This is all in the cloud, guys. And now I can say table. I would like to create a table. So guys, remember there is no SAP GUI access. Whatever you're going to do, you will be doing it with ABAP on cloud using Eclipse environment. We will set up this environment in our session 1 when we start our course. I say next. And now we will enter here the name of my table. So of course should be unique across the system as in SE11. Basically it's again SE11 based. So it has to be unique table name, less than 16 character. So let's create Anubhav Learnings. Start with custom namespace, Anubhav Learnings or Anubhav Trainings, ATS underscore sales order. This is my sales order table. And I say next. And you see this new transport request has been created to lock my changes. Just choose that, say finish, and voila, you see new table is created. So many of you who have attended my ABAP on HANA training, you would have understood the concept of CDS. So what is CDS? CDS stands for Core Data Service. It actually allows, it's an extension of SQL, which allows you to do DDL, DQL, DCL, right? And DEL, data expression language, data definition language, data query language, as well as data control language, right? So one of the things which we did not learn till today in ABAP on HANA training was DDL, data definition language. Yes, guys, CDS can be used to also define new objects. Your structures, your database tables, your table types can be created with the help of the CDS language. Yeah. That's what exactly we're doing here. Don't think we are creating a view, rather we are creating a database table. You see define table. Yeah. So by default, we always put a client field as part of our application tables. And you can see here the application delivery class is type table is application. It's a transparent table. Yeah. Now I will just go ahead and add here the columns. So let's add a sales order ID. Yeah. Just put sales order ID, and then I will say ABAP dot integer. And you can see different types you can choose from. So that's my sales order ID integer 4. And then I can have maybe the customer name who has bought this sales order. So you can say about. So right now I'm not creating data element, just creating hard-coded data types just for simplicity and ease of understanding purpose to show you the capability. So let's put customer name, and then maybe we will put here the gross amount. ABAP dot type CURR. So just put the decimal and the currency type, and of course every CURR type or the we have this reference field concept in ABAP programming. We have currency as well as the units. So for currency we have currency key, and for unit we have quantity field, we have unit field, right? So we will also put currency code, CUKY, currency key. And now how do you connect this reference field and reference type? So you have to use something called annotation, and then you can put a semantic annotation. And for this we'll say, hey, what is the currency code? So currency code is represented by same table's currency code field. So that's how you add it. Maybe let's add also, let's say sales organization, VKORG. So that's not an ERP system, so you cannot find the VKORG here, guys. So we will use ABAP dot, let's say character of 4. That's our sales organization. And then maybe we can add fields like created by. The sales order was created by Sayunim. Yeah, that's a data type, and created on timestamp. So that's my database table. Very simple though, yet effective. It will work fine. I'll just save this and let me activate quickly this table out there. So wow, the table got activated. I can press F8 to just do a data preview. Of course, the table doesn't contain any data right now. This is your database table in the cloud, guys. So those who come also maybe try to learn SAP Cloud Platform. There are different runtimes like Java. So if you're using Java, then you have to probably use Spring Boot framework to create this table using entity ER model and the Spring framework, and then create REST services using Spring. Those who worked on native HANA development, there you were using XSJS, XS OData, so-called HDB DD artifact, HDB CDS artifact for native HANA development. And then you were exposing it via XS OData services. Those who work with Node.js programming language, you were using something called some framework like Loopback to create your database tables into the cloud, or maybe with native HANA development access advanced environment, you have Node.js again to create those tables using HDB CDS and XSJS. And those who are using probably other programming language, you were accordingly creating those tables and entities. Here we are using ABAP. So this is the ABAP way of creating a database table in the cloud. And guess what? What is the database behind the scene? It's SAP HANA. Yeah. So that's the database in which it gets created now, and it has capability to store the data into the cloud now. Okay. So that's something which we don't have access. You can't access the HANA DB from here directly. The HANA DB is transparent for you. It's behind the scene. You got to work with ABAP layer, and ABAP layer does all the insert, update, delete, fetch, create, drop. All the commands will be done by ABAP layer. ABAP layer takes care of that. So now the next step is we want to build a Fiori app, a transactional Fiori app, which can insert, update, delete data in this table. So the steps goes like this in the new development. So you have to start something with called your database table. If you have it, probably you may have your database table, or you want to create new tables. So that's the step one. On top of this, you have to build something called modeling layer, data model. So data modeling is done using CDS, okay, CDS view concept. So that's what we know about. Of course, those who are not comfortable with CDS view, don't worry. As part of this course, I will also cover basics of CDS. You don't have to worry about that. Those who have not taken my ABAP on HANA course, that's fine. I will cover the introduction of a refresher session of CDS view as part of this course also. So those who doesn't come from ABAP on HANA background by far still can get some basic hand holding on CDS view. So that's your data modeling layer. Okay. Above this layer, we have something called service layer. Now in the data modeling layer, together with data model, we also have a new artifact, new ABAP repository artifact called BDEF. BDEF stands for behavior definition. Okay. So this is called new artifact type. That's a completely new, and this is what we are calling as RESTful programming model. So PDF is a new type of ABAP object, ABAP repository object. Just like your table is an ABAP repository object, similarly BDEF is also a new type of repository object which we create. What does this BDEF contains actually? What does it represents? So BDEF is actually a repository object that describes the behavior of a business object. So in our case, the business object is sales order. Our interest of object is sales order. So that is what I consider as our business object, sales order, right? This is our business object with which we are dealing right now. So this sales order is your business object. So BDEF, behavior definition, is actually is defining what is the behavior this sales order will have. Can this sales order be created? Can this sales order be deleted? Can this sales order be updated? Can this sales order be queried? Yeah, all that is defined by the behavior definition. So this describes the behavior of your business object. This is, again, it contains a lot of other stuff like related to the locks. Can you lock the database table while concurrent updates are happening? Can you lock the business object? Can you what will be the caching mechanism? What will be the mechanism to handle the versions of this? All that is controlled by the behavior definition. Yeah, and then we have something called behavior implementation. So typically the CDS model, the data model, and the behavior definition has one-to-one relationship, or I would say uh, 0-to-1 relationship. So either there is no behavior definition or there is at least one behavior definition. This is a typical relationship. Of course, this is a very detailed topic in our RESTful programming model. We will discuss this more in detail in upcoming days. Yeah, upcoming chapters we will discuss more in detail the types of behavior definition and all. Now together with this definition you have something called behavior implementation, which is optional. Okay, behavior implementation, which we will also discuss. As I mentioned initially when we started, there are two types of implementation. One is managed scenario, one is non-managed scenario. We will discuss both these type of behavior implementation. Okay, now the relationship between definition and implementation will be multiple, 1 to n. So one behavior definition can have multiple implementation. So that's the very basics about this new programming paradigm. So we are actually now talking about this RESTful application programming model. So let's do that. Now we have the service layer. So in the service layer, we have something called service definition and service binding. Yeah. So service definition defines what is that you want to expose. Suppose you have 100 fields in your sales order table, but not all 100 fields are relevant for user interface. So you can define what is my scope of the data which I want to expose outside, because it's cloud. And when you are creating an API in the cloud or a Fiori application, it's very important that you're talking in terms of scope. What is your scope? So that's what called service definition, and then you have service binding. So service definition is just defines the scope. However, service binding tells the purpose. So the purpose can be you just want to create an OData service for UI, for Fiori user interface, or you want to just expose the data to another application via API. So what is an API? Application programming interface. In the cloud world now, if you want to expose the data outside your system, you have to create APIs. Now this API can be used by a third-party application, let's say .NET or a Java, to talk to your ABAP layer, to talk to your ABAP system, and then create data in this sales order, for yourself. So this is the basics of your RESTful application programming model. Of course, there is a lot which is yet to come. As a demo, I don't want to confuse you much, so I just wanted to create a very basic stuff. And then on top of this service, what you created, you will have something called Fiori user interface, Fiori UX, which is then your ultimate UI, which is going to talk to this service, and that service will talk to data model talks to a database table, and finally your business object lifecycle, your create, read, update, delete, lock, unlock, complete lifecycle of your business object will be managed. Yeah. So we will go ahead, and now we already have a database table. Let's create something called data model, a CDS view on top of this database table, and then we will create a behavior definition. So I will be today taking a scenario of type managed. In the managed scenario, I am considering it's a greenfield approach. We do not have any logic because it's our custom table. So in managed scenario, I don't have to specifically go and give an implementation to begin with. I just can define the behavior of my business object, and system will generate all the necessary code to create, read, update, delete data automatically. Yes, guys, automatically. So let's go ahead and create our CDS view on top of this database table in our package. So I'm going to come back, right click out there, say new, and we will choose here core data services. So you see, you can create CDS views also now here in this free ABAP landscape server, and I can say ZATS, and I can say my consumption layer, my modeling layer. So I typically call it as C, consumption view. We will discuss about this naming convention once again in this course. What is consumption view? What is interface view? What is projection? All these concepts will be coming. And I'll say sales order. So I'll say consumption layer for data model. I say next, same transport request, and say finish. So let's define our CDS view. So I'm going to go back, take our database table, select from the data source. And now let's go ahead and add all the columns from our table. Control space for code completion, and you can see all the columns have come. Let's give the SQL view name Z ATS SO. Now, some of you who are not familiar with CDS concept, don't worry. We will cover the basics of CDS as part of our course on ABAP on Cloud. I will activate this. Congratulations, and now you can see the CDS view is created. Of course, I can press F8. It won't show me any data. Yeah, it's empty, of course, because my table is also empty. So that's my CDS view. But now comes to the behavior definition. So I now probably in typical ABAP programming earlier, if you create a database table, then you have to build a class or a function module to insert data, read data, update data. All of that logic, you have to write it. But now with this new programming model, this whole logic will be created automatically if you are using managed scenario. Yet you have an opportunity also. For example, you have some business logic already written in the past. You want to reuse that logic. That's unmanaged scenario. We will discuss both managed and unmanaged. So right now for demo purpose, I'll show you managed scenario. In managed scenario, the system, the ABAP layer is so smart, the new ABAP layer is so smart that it will take care of the basic implementation for create, read, update, delete. And behind the scene, it use concept of BOPF, right? So we don't need to learn BOPF at all. We just have to understand what is behavior definition, what is the syntax, and how can you define these things. That's all. The system will take care of these things, yet you also have opportunity to go ahead and add your custom code in the middle. For example, validations, determinations, yeah, your messages, your checks, your before save event, yeah, your hook methods, all this functionality you can also implement together with it. So now it's important to define your CDS data model as a business object. So this data model should be represented as my business object. How do you tell? How do you tell ABAP layer that this CDS view will be represented as my data object, as my business object? So for that, you also have to now add another keyword here. We call it as root. Suppose I don't add it, okay? I don't add it and I immediately start creating a behavior definition, okay? What will happen? Watch out. So I will go to the CDS view, right click here. And now you see here we have an option called new behavior definition. I just choose that. I say next. And now you see it gives me an error. It says this CDS data model is not a root entity. Can you see this error? This means yet I have not marked what is my business object. So typically just simply understand business object is nothing but it's a tree data structure. Tomorrow, maybe in our classes, we will go ahead and do some complicated scenarios like sales order and sales order line items. Yeah. In that case, you will have a parent BO node, so-called sales order header, and you will have a child BO node called sales order line items. Similarly, you will have sales order line item acting as a parent for sales order line item scheduling line items. So that kind of scenario is possible, and that is called your BO structure. We will learn about BO structure more in detail in chapter number 5. So let's go ahead and right now define this as my BO. So just add this keyword which marks this data model as a business object now. So this is your representation of business object. I activate this. Awesome, it got activated. And now let's create once again a new behavior definition. I will now choose here the type. So you can see there are two types, managed and unmanaged. Right now for demo purpose, we are going with managed scenario where I want the system to automatically generate all the necessary code to insert, update, delete. Say next. Same transport I will look and I will say finish. So now you see it has created something called service definition. Immediately ADT is giving me a design time error saying that lock master lock dependent must be specified for managed scenario. Fine, let's uncomment this line of code. What is this? These lines of code, we will write all these lines of code line by line without any copy paste of code so you can understand. Just understand the basics here, that it's a managed scenario, which means the implementation of this will be managed by SAP system. Okay, SAP system. Now I'm not saying SAP, I'm saying SAP system. Your ABAP framework will manage this implementation for inserting, updating, deleting data. What are all I want to support? I want to support create, read, update, and delete. Read anyway is supported with CDS view, but create, update, and delete I want to support. You can also control the authorization and also the caching. All these concepts we will learn it as and when we'll progress. You see there are a lot of options here. We will learn all of these later point of time. Right now, just understand this is your behavior definition. I just save this. So just now we created a behavior definition. I will activate. You do not need any implementation at this point because it's a managed scenario. SAP system will generate the necessary code to create, read, update, delete the data for you out of the box. You don't have to write the code. So now since we are done, so right now I'm skipping the behavior implementation. So this part I'm skipping it at this point of time. So let me just make it as a black box for you. We are not yet focusing on this. Then let's move to the next layer, service definition. So I will go back and we will create, right click on the package and create a new service definition. So choose other and we will choose service definition. Yeah, this one. And I say next. And let's say Z ATS S service definition SDEF sales order. So what you want to expose outside. So that's what is your service definition. And I say finish. And now I will say expose which entity. So my entity name is same name as CDS view name. Copy that, put it here and save it. So that's your service definition, which indicates that, let's say, I will tell you the benefit of service definition. The benefit is, suppose in your company, you had built 50 database tables. Out of these 50 database tables, you then created 30 CDS views. Now, not all the CDS view you want to give it to the outside world in the cloud. Yeah, not all. You don't want to expose all 30. Yeah. So what you do is you will create service definition. In this service definition, you will just say only 3 of them I want to expose outside. Yeah. That is the benefit of service definition. So though you have 30 CDS views, based on the requirement and need only, you are exposing that outside. Remember, it's cloud. In the cloud means you are going on internet. You are going on public cloud. Okay, it's a public cloud because it's SAP Cloud Platform. So it's going on internet. So now you have an opportunity to have a lot of things developed in your company, but yet expose only few of the resources with the help of service definition. That's the main advantage of breaking these things out in different layers. When you break down the things into different layers, you get the flexibility of plug and play. So you can plug and play whatever you like. So now I want only relevant of 3 of these CDS views are relevant for me. I can expose them out. You can also expose the association out as well. We will learn that in chapter number 3, how to also expose the associations out in terms of service definition. And now you have something called service binding. Service binding will indicate what is the purpose. So there are mainly 2 purposes for creating a service. The first purpose is that you want to expose an API, and this API will be consumed by some external application. Let's say, for example, in your company, you want to achieve success factor integration with your S4HANA system. or you want to achieve a field glass integration, or you want to achieve a Lotus Note integration, you want to achieve Office 360-degree integration, you want to achieve maybe Windows OneDrive integration. Yeah, you want to achieve maybe Google API integration. So any external application, any external portal, Java or .NET application want to insert, update, read data from your SAP system, SAP tables, then you expose an API. Or another purpose is you want to build a new user experience, new user interface for your users to create, read, update, delete this business object. Then the purpose is Fiori application. Yeah. So depending on purpose, you will create your service binding. Okay, so we created service definition, which tells you what resources are exposed. And now next step, we will create service binding to tell the purpose. So let's go back on the service definition. I will right click and I say create a new service binding. And let's define ZATS service binding sales order. And you can choose the purpose. You see the UI, or you want to expose a web API. You want to expose just an API for integration purpose, or you want to do it for a user interface. So I say I want to do it for user interface. I want to build a Fiori app. That's why I want it. Okay, next. Active version of definition doesn't exist. Okay, we have not activated our service definition. That's why it's not allowing me to create binding. Let's activate that. Okay, and now I'm going to come back, new service binding, and I'll say Z service binding. So I will say my purpose was to create Fiori app, which is transactional app. So we did not write any insert, update, delete statement. We did not write any ABAP code to create, read data, but yet it will be generated automatically because we are using this RESTful programming model, which takes care of this logic preparation as a managed scenario. I will say next, and I'll say finish. Let's do that, and wow. So that's your service binding, which is getting created. You can also attach authorization, all these security concepts we will look at in our real classes, how to expose a communication scenario out of it now for external communication using web API. We'll see some scenarios of that sort. Also, how can this particular business object or managed scenario can talk to your SAP S/4HANA system for integration purpose. We'll look at those complicated scenarios as well. So now this has been created, yet it's not active. So let me just activate the local endpoint support. I say activate, please. And you would see just in about half a minute, something called a local endpoint will be created for you to test this locally in your computer. Yeah, that's what system will be doing for us. Wow, there you go. You can see now service URL. System has generated an OData service for Fiori app development purpose. And now you can see your entity set. The beauty here is you can right away go ahead and see open Fiori element preview. And you would now see a Fiori app available for you out of the box right away, launching in your local computer, which will be working with the data in the cloud. So the whole solution is into the cloud, in the public cloud, and you can access it from your local computer. So let me click on preview. Okay, it's taking a little bit of time to load. Yeah, it's stuck. So I kind of manually logged in now into the URL because it's kind of not launching the Fiori app elements preview. So ideally it should, you right click and say open Fiori elements preview, it should launch it, but it's not launching. That's okay. We will just go ahead and type the URL manually on the top. And now on the top here, we will go ahead and type /SAP OPU OData, our OData service name, press enter. And you can see the OData service has been created right there in the cloud. You can enter your entity set name and you can see There is no data right now, of course, in our database table, hence it's not showing any data. So this is the way your O data is now generated, and using this O data, we can go ahead and create a Fiori elements preview.